The Greater Yellowstone Ecosystem radiates out from an untamed core to more than 15 million acres of spectacular scenery and abundant wildlife. Covering parts of Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho, it's one of the largest and most dramatic landscapes on Earth. In addition to the Yellowstone and Grand Teton National Parks, the region includes 12 wilderness areas, 6 national forests, 3 national wildlife refuges, and the Wind River Indian Reservation. It is home to the largest free-roaming concentration of wildlife in the lower 48 states. Bison, elk, moose, and bear are plentiful. Sapphire lakes mirror jagged peaks and crystal-clear waters. Crisp mountain winds blow through aspen leaves. Soft mists dance with canyon walls. Powerful rivers pump millions of gallons of water through the ecosystem, the arteries of life ever flowing. The Greater Yellowstone Ecosystem provides us a window through which we can view natural forces continuously at work. In this wonderland, removed from our fast-paced culture, time seems to stand still, and the interconnectedness between all living organisms cannot be ignored. Grand Teton National Park is home to some of the most rugged and majestic mountains in North America. There are higher mountains in the Rockies, but the Tetons are perhaps the most dramatic. Rising abruptly from the Jackson Hole Valley floor, the natural skyline provides some of the most stunning and recognizable scenery in all the U.S. The Teton's breathtaking profile is the result of a 40-mile-long fault that runs along the base of the range. Over millions of years, land on the east side of the fault has fallen, while the western block has angled upward. As you travel through this wild and spacious country, the Teton Range is ever present. Once seen, this image of the Teton peaks lingers in the mind. At the scenic heart of the Grand Tetons lies Jenny Lake. It is named after the Shoshone wife of early explorer Beaver Dick Lee and is regarded as one of the most beautiful mountain lakes in the country. Boat shuttles cross the lake, offering quick access to the trails for hidden falls and Inspiration Point. Just a few miles north is the gorgeous crystal-clear String Lake. The calm waters provide an ideal canoe destination with dramatic views of the Grand Teton Mountain. More than 900 species of plants and 400 kinds of mammals and birds live in the Teton's 480 square mile area. At least 300 moose live within the park boundaries. The largest member of the deer family, moose can weigh 1,000 pounds. Standing up to 7.5 feet in height and reaching 10 feet in length, they are one of the region's most impressive species. For most of the year, moose are solitary creatures. These stately vegetarians browse aspen, willows, water lilies, and other aquatic plants. A prime location for viewing moose, the Oxbow Bend is a loop of the Snake River. The slow-moving water is a favorite spot for canoeing and viewing wildlife. It also provides stunning reflections of Mount Moran and the northern portion of the Teton Range. Frequently seen gliding across the water in the Oxbow are beavers, North America's largest rodents. Beavers are regarded as a keystone species because of the crucial role they play in affecting the biodiversity of their environment. Living along rivers, streams, ponds, and lakes throughout the ecosystem, beavers dam slower-moving streams and river tributaries to form ponds, which are vital for numerous other animals. In the center of these ponds, or along banks of rivers, beavers build lodges of sticks and mud, where they may retreat for safety. At the approach of a predator, a beaver will slap the surface of the water with their tail to warn the rest of the family, and any others who might be nearby. The North American pronghorn, sometimes incorrectly called antelope, have horns which curl to form a half hook. The buck's horns also have a prong that extends forward. Their 350-mile annual migration is the longest terrestrial migration in the Western Hemisphere. The fastest animals in North America, pronghorn can run up to 45 miles per hour. Black bears roam montane and subalpine forests. Only about half of black bears are actually black. The rest are brown, cinnamon, or even blonde. Somewhat smaller than grizzlies, black bears have a more tapered muzzle, larger ears, larger rump, and shorter claws than their more aggressive cousins. In spring, boars shadow sows, testing to see if they are in heat and receptive to mating. A sow may come into heat several times and mate with multiple partners from early to mid-summer, before the mating season ends. Traveling north along the John D. Rockefeller Highway, you reach America's very first national park, Yellowstone. It's where white water carves its way through canyons. Vast open fields dissolve into pools of color and light. More than 3,500 square miles, it's a giant swatch of terrain. With 2 million acres of sprawling virgin wilderness, most of Yellowstone is never seen by humans. In 1978, the United Nations named Yellowstone National Park as a biosphere reserve and World Heritage Site because of the worldwide significance of its natural and cultural resources. More than 220 lakes and at least 1,000 streams cover 5% of the park. 16 species of fish inhabit these pristine waters, including the largest population of cutthroat trout in the world. While the cutthroat are river fish and spend most of their lives downriver, many of their spawning grounds are in the shallows around Yellowstone Lake. To reach them, the cutthroats must overcome turbulent waters swollen with spring melt. You can often see them resting in eddies along the banks of rivers, gathering strength before making their way back into the current and continuing on to their destination in Lake Yellowstone. One of the largest alpine lakes in the world, Yellowstone Lake was formed by the Yellowstone caldera and later glacial erosion. With a 110-mile shoreline and an elevation of almost 8,000 feet, it is the largest high-altitude lake in North America. Upstream from here, the brilliant Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone appears to have been painted with every color in an artist's palette. The hues derive from minute organisms living on the canyon walls as well as from minerals in the rocks. At the junction of hard lava rock and softer rhyolite, the Yellowstone River cascades 308 feet over Lower Falls. Shifting light reveals constantly changing perspectives across this 20-mile-long, 1,200-foot-deep abyss. Throughout the entire ecosystem, you may encounter the massive bison, the largest land mammal in North America. An imposing sight, a full-grown male may stand more than 6 feet, have a total length of 12 feet, and weigh as much as 2,000 pounds. Yellowstone is the only place in the lower 48 states to have had continuously free-ranging bison populations since prehistoric times. Overhunting once decimated the bison, reducing the herd to 20 animals in 1902. Special breeding programs and careful management have brought them back from the brink of extinction. Today, numerous herds roam across the region, and bison are revered as a symbol of Yellowstone National Park. The howl of the cagey coyote is frequently heard echoing through the hills in the region. Known as song dogs, they communicate with each other by a variety of long-range vocalizations. These calls are made throughout the year, but they're most common in the fall when the pups leave their families to establish new territories. The endangered grizzly bear's terrain once ranged across the western U.S. Today, its population in the lower 48 has been reduced to less than 1,200, with an estimated half of these living in the Greater Yellowstone Ecosystem. Male grizzlies reach up to 8 feet in length and can weigh more than 700 pounds. Some grizzlies are all black, but most have cinnamon brown coats with white tipped guard hairs. Bighorn sheep are found at high elevations on rocky terrain. With hooves adapted to the habitat, they are incredibly agile on practically vertical cliffs. The bighorn may be difficult to spot unless they are moving or standing on a ridge. Sheep-eaters was a name given to the Shoshone tribe that once frequented this area in the summers and specialized in hunting the bighorn sheep. Bows which they fashioned from the horns of these sheep were reputed to be strong enough to shoot an arrow through a bison. Bighorn populations are thought to have been historically quite large, but after suffering from increased human activity in the 20th century and a devastating pink eye epidemic in 1982, the bighorn population is still a long way from recovering to its earlier numbers. Yellowstone is a constantly evolving landscape. The region sits atop a magma hotspot that has been responsible for 3 major catastrophic volcanic eruptions over the last 2 million years, each one more than 1,000 times as powerful as the Mount St. Helens blast in 1980. Geysers, fumaroles, mud pots, and hot springs are spread throughout the landscape. Surprisingly, life is abundant in these hot springs, dominated by heat-loving and often colorful communities of bacteria, algae, viruses, and other microorganisms. Old Faithful, named by the Washburn Expedition in 1870, erupts about every 80 minutes. 8,000 gallons of water explode more than 170 feet into the sky. One of the premier wildlife viewing areas in the world, the Lamar Valley is regarded as the American Serengeti. This is perhaps the best location to catch a thrilling glimpse of a gray wolf. Extinct in the region for more than 70 years, 14 gray wolves were brought to the park from Western Canada in 1995 and another 17 by 1996. By January of 2009, the numbers had grown to at least 124 wolves in 12 packs within the park, and possibly 400 wolves in the Greater Yellowstone Ecosystem. Reintroduction of the wolf has been a remarkable success story and has had numerous effects on the park's ecosystem. Grizzly bear numbers have increased because they can steal carcasses of elk, moose, and bison from smaller wolf packs. Wolves have reduced the extremely overpopulated northern elk herd from nearly 16,000 to fewer than 7,000 individuals. Because elk feed on young aspens and willows, the number of these young trees has improved. Some wolves are now turning to bison as prey, which will decrease deforestation caused by bison rubbing on and killing trees. Wolves kill coyotes and their numbers have decreased by 50%. More aspen and willows and fewer coyotes seems to benefit beavers whose numbers are growing. This in turn is increasing wetlands, benefiting waterfowl. It becomes clear how the reintroduction or loss of a species has a domino effect throughout the entire ecosystem. As we look to the future and watch economic, political, and conservation interests collide, many are concerned about the numerous species that must be managed to maintain a healthy ecosystem. With over 3 million visitors annually, a growing local population, and timber, gas, oil, and mineral reserves nearby, management of the ecosystem is an ongoing challenge. Today, the Greater Yellowstone Ecosystem looks much as it did 200 years ago. It continues to inspire, educate, and change the lives of the millions who are fortunate enough to visit this truly wondrous land. The question now is, how will it look in the future? The answer to that question rests on the decisions we make today, and whether we have the courage to resist destructive practices that could deny future generations the profound honor of experiencing this remarkable place.